So for tourism specifically, tourism represents well over 10% of our GNP, perhaps double that when multiplier effects and related revenues are considered. We expect that tourism will be the anchor of our increasingly services-centered economy in years to come. Let me say that Montenegro, as a small country, has, well, for Venice it's nothing, but still 1.2 million tourists on a yearly basis, and it is double as much as we have inhabitants. And that we have more than 300 hotels, that we have quite an interesting range of activities in the winter, in the summer, from hiking and biking in the mountains to beautiful summer sports during the summer and winter time along the coast. But still there is a lot to do, and there is definitely no mistaking that tourism generally, and nature-based tourism specifically, is the very lifeblood of our nation's future. So the subject of our talk today is also why and how it can bring not only economic growth but also stability to the region. Well, travel is indeed very special, and it is a tool for better relationships between nations. And it is definitely far more than wishful thinking or uninformed optimism. Travel makes clear to the traveler that commonality and the universality of human nature. And sometimes we in a political realm are very well served by looking to writers, philosophers, artists to put an issue in perspective, to provide simple but illuminating observation. And writers and philosophers have in fact known for centuries the power of travel. What Mark Twain did say in 1895 was that travel is fatal to prejudice, to bigotry, and narrow-mindedness. And he was absolutely right. And someone you would never expect to speak about tourism said, nothing is comparable to the new life that a reflective person experiences when he observes a new country. I believe I've been changed to the core. I believe, he said, I've been changed to the marrow of my bones. And this was the German writer Goethe. So definitely travel is special, and travel by literally bringing people closer, giving life to their prejudices, and in many cases catalyzing international cooperation is indeed a tool for better relationship and ultimately for stability and peace. So, where has Montenegro come from in tourism, and where are we going? And what have been the challenges to the development of new, innovative and relevant products, especially sustainable products? Let me mention briefly what I think have been our 4 biggest challenges and how we are confronting them. First, there was a period of isolation and its impact. That during the 90s, you can definitely remember the violence in the region, the embargo, sanctions of international community, and we faced almost total isolation during the embargo. It is definitely hard to have a vibrant tourism sector when you cannot fly in or fly out of the country, and equally important was that commercial contacts with foreign markets and understanding of their needs and expectations, that it was completely lost. This period taught us many lessons. Conventional wisdom in the realm of state building and peace building tells us that quite reasonably solutions to national problems must be generated from within, drawing on the resources of the nation rather than drawn from, or sadly sometimes imposed from, outside. And I would generally endorse those principles, given the generally sorry track of external solutions. But I would suggest that in some cases, external partnerships are not only positive, but critical. And this is particularly true in tourism, nature-based or not. Given how much of the tourism demand is from external or even non-regional markets, we must look outside. Look outside to consumers and distributors to understand their needs. Look outside for brands and management, and yes, for ideas how to work. And look outside for technology, for expertise, for know-how to create and deliver relevant products, in particular one that is truly, truly sustainable. And then we must adopt what we find and learn and adopt to our particular circumstances. This is also very, very important because there are no final solutions, there are no recipes which you can take over and implement in your own country. They have to be adopted. Second challenge was limited operational and marketing expertise. This has improved, but it's still a challenge. One for which there are a number of solutions, including enhanced training and education, introduction of foreign brands, management, and without a doubt, assistance from our bilateral and multilateral partners in generating the capacity to build capacity. Third challenge was insufficient value in the offer. Another challenge we have had to confront is quite simply a poor price-quality relationship that resulted from the outdated infrastructure and the lack of a truly international product. Consumers today have a myriad of different holiday choices, and while they will certainly not always choose the lowest price, they will always seek for value. And we previously simply did not offer an international standard product, recognizing it's very important that international standard will be defined differently for an eco-lodge or for a beautiful sea and sand resort. But anyhow, we must and we cannot forget that to the consumer, being green does not mean that things don't have to be as expected, that the welcome can be less warm, or that the facility can be dirty, even not if it's organic dirt. So, the economic crisis, at the same time, free visa access from our region to so many additional destinations, which was very big challenge for us because we were very much relying also on domestic markets, domestic, regional in terms of domestic. And this was definitely a very, very powerful reminder that we need a competitive product and that this is actually a very, very critical for our survival. And if you allow me, I will quote another famous person, Samuel Johnson, who once said that when a man knows that he is to be hanged in a fortnight, it concentrates his mind wonderfully. And I must tell you that we were in this stage. We were in this stage 99, 2000 in tourism, and then in 2008 again when the crisis began. So suddenly the private sector and the public sector started to work together like never in the history, and solutions came out, ideas came out of those meetings and those brainstorming sessions organized ad hoc, because we all understood that we are facing critical time. And this is how we survived. So, fourth issue, we had insufficient capacity of the type needed, or limited capacity, and the current crisis made investors very difficult, attracting investors very difficult, the right kind of investors even more difficult. So the issue was that in 2005, 6 and 7, this rapid appreciation of the value of real estate and this tremendous pressure of capital, sometimes very speculative capital, was creating big problems for sustainable development, for sustainable spatial planning, for creating sustainable tourism products. And I must admit that the only good thing in this crisis, which has happened to us and to some other tourism destinations, developing tourism destinations, is that there was a halt, there was a big and very sudden stop of all this influx of that kind of capital and that kind of pressure. Otherwise, I believe that we would have had a lot of problems, and we could have destroyed a lot of our space in our country. And you know that in finance you can sometimes restore mistakes in an easy way, but if you make mistakes in space, then it's very, very difficult to restore the space and to restore the nature, etc., etc. And you know that a wine once spilled, it's very difficult to get it back into the bottle.